There exists a moment, a subtle and often imperceptible threshold, where the map we have so meticulously drawn of the world ceases to correspond to the territory it claims to represent. We navigate our days with the quiet assurance of a silent, separate, and objective universe, a grand clockwork mechanism ticking away indifferent to our presence, our joys, or our sorrows. The chair exists because it is there. The moon's face is carved in stone, not in perception. The outcome of an event is sealed long before we ever chance to look upon it. This is the comfortable, predictable world of classical reality, a stage upon which we are merely actors reciting lines written by the cold, impartial laws of physics. Yet what if the stage itself is not made of wood and nails, but of something far more mysterious and responsive? What if the very act of stepping onto the boards, of speaking our lines, of simply looking into the darkness beyond the footlights, causes the foundations to shift, the scenery to rearrange, and the play to rewrite itself in real time? This is not a question of philosophy alone, but one that has been thrust upon us by the most rigorous and confounding experiments of our time. A revelation that tears at the fabric of our most fundamental assumptions. The quantum experiment that broke reality. The moment science peered into the abyss and found the abyss peering back, not with empty darkness, but with the reflected light of a conscious mind. This journey begins not in the esoteric realms of metaphysics, but in the pristine, sterile environment of the laboratory, where the language is mathematics and the currency is empirical evidence. Here, in the pursuit of the infinitely small, scientists began to encounter phenomena that defied the logic of our macroscopic world. Particles behaved like waves, existing in a shimmering cloud of potentiality, a state of pure maybe rather than definite is. An electron, it seemed, could be everywhere and nowhere at once, a ghostly probability curve until the moment it was sought, measured, observed. And in that moment of observation, in that critical intersection between the question posed by an instrument and the answer given by the universe, something miraculous and terrifying occurred. The probability curve collapsed. The infinite possibilities resolved into a single, definite reality. The particle chose a position, a path, a state of being. The profound and ultimately world-shattering implication was that the observer was not separate from the observation. The act of seeing was not a passive reception of data, but an active participation in creation. The universe was not a noun but a verb, and consciousness was the grammar that gave it tense and meaning. To truly grasp the magnitude of this breaking, one must imagine reality not as a solid finished sculpture, but as a ceaseless, flowing river of potential. Every moment, every event is a confluence of countless currents, each a possibility waiting to be actualized. For centuries, we believed these currents flowed according to their own immutable rules, that the river's course was charted on a map we had no hand in drawing. The quantum revelation suggests that we are not merely passengers on this river, but are in fact its co-authors. Our consciousness, our focused attention, our intentionality is the very force that guides the water, that chooses which channel to carve, which possibility to bring forth from the formless quantum foam into the tangible world of experience. This is the great unveiling, the hidden layer of cosmic architecture that has been waiting patiently beneath the surface of our perceptions. It is a concept that dissolves the artificial barrier between the inner world of the mind and the outer world of matter, proposing a universe that is deeply interconnected, responsive, and perhaps even alive in a way that our old vocabulary fails to capture. It invites us to see ourselves not as accidental tourists in a foreign land, but as integral participants in a cosmic dance of unimaginable complexity and beauty, where the simple act of looking with wonder is enough to change the thing being looked at. Of course. Let us delve deeper into the architecture of this revelation to trace the contours of the profound themes that this quantum rupture exposes. For the breaking was not a random fracture, but a cleaving along a hidden seam in the nature of existence itself, revealing core truths that have always been present, humming just below the surface of the audible world, waiting for our instruments and our intellect to become subtle enough to hear their frequency. The central pillar, the unshakable cornerstone of this new understanding, is the utter dissolution of the observer and the observed as separate entities. For so long we have lived inside the Cartesian theater, a mental construct where a lonely I sits behind the eyes, a homunculus watching the screen of reality as it plays out, a sovereign self peering out at a foreign kingdom of objects. This is the grand and persistent illusion of separateness. The quantum experiment does not simply challenge this idea, it dismantles it with the gentle, inexorable force of a wave function collapsing. It reveals that there is no screen, and there is no separate watcher. There is only the watching itself, and what is watched is born from that very act. The eye looking at the star is not a passive receptor of ancient photons. It is the final, participatory act in the star's expression of itself. The universe requires a witness to complete itself, to transition from a state of potential poetry into spoken verse. This leads us to the second, intertwined theme, the primacy of potentiality over actuality. The classical world is a world of facts. The quantum substratum, the foundational layer of our reality, is a world of verbs. It is an ocean of latent possibilities, a shimmering field of maybes, where an electron is not a thing but a tendency to exist, a probability cloud, a ghost of a thing until it is asked to declare itself. This is not merely a technical detail of particle physics, it is a metaphysical earthquake. It suggests that the solidity of our world is a magnificent illusion, a consensus reality built upon a deeper, fluid reality. The table feels solid to our hand because our consciousness, and the consciousness inherent in the complex interactions of its atoms, is continuously collapsing trillions upon trillions of quantum uncertainties into a stable, agreed-upon experience. We are not walking through a world of fixed objects, but through a dynamic, living field of potential that is constantly being resolved into form through the act of interaction, through relationship, through consciousness. The universe is not a noun, but a verb, and we are the grammar that gives it tense. And what is this consciousness that performs such a miraculous feat? This is the third and most elusive theme, the great mystery at the heart of the mystery. The experiment points to its effect, but does not define its essence. Is consciousness a product of the brain, a delicate epiphenomenon of complex neural computation that somehow reaches back down to influence the quantum fields from which it arose? Or is it something far more fundamental, a primary quality of the universe, as inherent to the cosmos as space and time? The implications of the latter are staggering. It suggests that consciousness is not something that emerged late in cosmic history inside the skulls of apes on a tiny blue planet. Rather, it is the foundational ground, the silent canvas upon which the material universe is painted. In this view, the brain is not a generator of consciousness, but a receiver, a transducer, a complex instrument that filters and focuses a consciousness that is everywhere, much like a radio receives a broadcast that is already filling the air. The quantum experiment, then, is not proof that human consciousness affects reality, but that consciousness is reality, and our individual awareness is a localized point of that universal field, capable of directing its creative flow. We are not tiny sailors on a vast ocean. We are distinct whirlpools in the single great water of being, each unique in our form but never separate from the whole. This interconnectedness, this non-locality, where the observation here instantly influences the state of a particle entangled with it across the galaxy, whispers of a universe that is fundamentally undivided. The fourth theme, then, is the death of true isolation and the birth of a participatory cosmos. The old model was a universe of billiard balls, clicking against each other in a void, transferring energy but remaining essentially separate. The new model is a universe more akin to a cosmic mind, or a vast neural network, where every part is in instant, silent communication with every other part, not through signals traveling through space, but through a deeper connectivity that transcends space and time itself. This is the holographic principle, the idea that the information of the whole is encoded in every part. Your conscious observation of a particle in a lab in Geneva is not a local event. It is a cosmic event, a ripple in the unified field that resonates everywhere, forever. You are not a drop in the ocean, you are the entire ocean in a drop, and your every thought, your every act of attention is a wave that moves the whole sea. Let us then step away from the clean lines of the laboratory and into the realm of allegory, where the heart of this mystery finds its truest echo. For the language of mathematics, while precise, can sometimes feel cold to the human soul. It is in story and symbol that we feel the truth of things in our bones. The quantum revelation is not a new idea, but a very old one, whispered for millennia by mystics, poets, and sages, now being echoed back to us in the precise language of science. It is the perennial philosophy, returning dressed in the garments of data. Imagine a vast, silent, and dark ocean, an infinite sea of potential. This is the quantum vacuum, the zero-point field, the unmanifest ground of being. It is not water as we know it, but the potential for water, for form, for movement. It is pure consciousness itself, silent, awake, and pregnant with all possibilities. Within this ocean, a thought arises. Perhaps it is not even a thought with words, but an intention, a focus, a question. This focus creates a disturbance, a wave. The wave is not separate from the ocean. It is the ocean, now expressing itself in a specific pattern, a specific vibration. This is the moment of observation, the act of measurement. The wave rises and crests, and for a fleeting instant, it takes on a distinct form. A droplet is thrown into the air, a singular, defined entity, a particle. It has location, momentum, identity. It is a thing. This is the collapse of the wave function, the transition from the formless potential to the manifest reality. But the droplet is only temporary. It arcs through the air and falls back into the vast ocean, its individual identity dissolving once more into the whole. The act of observation is the act of drawing a temporary, conscious form from the eternal, formless potential. We are that thought. We are that focusing of attention that causes the ocean to wave, to manifest as the temporary, beautiful, and seemingly solid droplet of our experienced reality. Now consider the legend of the Akashic Records, the mystical library said to contain all knowledge of all that was, is, or ever could be. In our metaphor, this is not a library of books, but the ocean itself in its unmanifest state. Every possible story, every potential life, every variation of every event exists here as a silent, overlapping probability wave. To live a life, to have an experience, is not to read a pre-written book from this library. It is to enter the library with a lantern of conscious attention. Where you direct your light, a story resolves from the shadows of possibility into the tangible reality of text and page. The stories you do not illuminate remain as ghostly potential, real in their own way but unactualized for you. Your journey through the library is not predetermined. The aisles rearrange themselves based on the questions you ask, the things you yearn to know, the light you choose to cast. The universe is not a fixed script, but an interactive, responsive text, and your consciousness is the light that illuminates the words into existence. There is a deeper, more intimate narrative still, found in the ancient idea of the divine dream. In this story, God, or Source, or the ultimate consciousness, is not a distant clockmaker, but a great dreamer. The entire cosmos, in all its splendor and detail, is the content of this divine dream. We, and every particle of existence, are characters within this dream. But here is the profound twist revealed by quantum physics. We are not merely passive figments of the dreamer's imagination. Because our consciousness is not separate from the dreamer's consciousness, it is a localized point of it. We are, at our core, the dreamer itself. We are the universe experiencing itself subjectively. Our individual act of observation, our questioning, our wondering, is the dreamer focusing its attention within its own dream, causing the dreamscape to crystallize and become vivid and solid. Your life is the point at which the infinite dreamer focuses to experience the taste of chocolate, the feeling of grief, the warmth of the sun. You are the instrument of your own creation and the creator of your own experience, all simultaneously. The experiment that broke reality is the moment a character in the dream turned around, looked into the eyes of the dreamer, and realized it was looking into a mirror. Let us now bridge the chasm between the cosmic and the personal, between the shimmering potential of the quantum field and the grit and texture of our daily lives. For a revelation that remains only in the realm of theoretical physics or mystical allegory is a song sung into a void. Its true power is only realized when it echoes in the choices we make, the relationships we foster, and the reality we co-create moment by moment. The profound implication that consciousness is not a passenger but a participant is an invitation to live deliberately, to understand that our attention is not merely a spotlight illuminating a pre-built stage, but a divine instrument of manifestation itself. This knowledge asks nothing less of us than a radical re-enchantment of the world, a return to seeing the universe not as a dead mechanism, but as a living, responsive partner in a sacred dance. Consider the simple, yet profound, act of perception. You look at a tree. In the old paradigm, you are a subject observing an independent object. The tree is there, regardless of your gaze. But the new understanding infuses this act with sacred significance. Your observation is the culmination of the tree's existence. From its quantum underpinnings, through its biological complexity, it has grown and evolved not toward a state of isolated being, but toward this very moment of relationship, of being seen, of being known. Your conscious attention is the final ingredient that completes its reality, that solidifies its presence in the shared field of experience. This is not philosophy, it is a practical shift in awareness. To walk through a forest with this knowing is to engage in a constant, silent conversation with everything that is. It is to understand that you are not moving through a world of things, but through a world of relationships, of which you are an integral and creative part. The quality of your attention, whether it is hurried and dismissive or slow and reverent, literally influences the reality you are helping to sustain. A world observed with wonder is a fundamentally different world than one observed with indifference. This extends powerfully into the realm of human interaction. Every person you meet is a vast, complex constellation of quantum potentials, a walking, breathing probability wave of possible behaviors, moods, and responses. When you engage with another, you are not encountering a fixed entity. You are meeting a field of possibility, and your consciousness, your expectation, your intention is a powerful force that helps collapse that field into a specific experience. This is the science behind the self-fulfilling prophecy, the placebo effect, and the undeniable power of belief. If you approach someone with suspicion and armor, you are effectively guiding their quantum expression toward defensiveness and hostility, confirming your own bleak hypothesis. But if you can approach with openness, with genuine curiosity, and a belief in their inherent goodness or potential, you create a space, a conscious container, within which their best selves can emerge. You become a midwife for their potential. This is the deepest practical application. Understanding that we are constantly co-creating each other. Your consciousness is not walled within your skull. It is a field that interpenetrates with the fields of others, and your expectations act as a subtle but powerful force guiding the mutual collapse of your shared reality. On the most intimate level, this knowledge revolutionizes our relationship with ourselves. Your body is not a static machine you inhabit. It is a breathtakingly complex, dynamic process, a constant flow of information and energy, a community of 50 trillion cells, each with its own quantum activity, all cohering into the pattern you call me. Your thoughts, your emotions, your beliefs are not ephemeral ghosts in this machine. They are the conscious, qualitative experiences of the instructions you are giving to this quantum field. A thought of anxiety is not just a mental event. It is a command that ripples through your entire organism, collapsing potentials towards states of tension and inflammation. A feeling of love or gratitude is a different instruction set, guiding your biology towards states of repair, harmony, and health. The practice of mindfulness, of meditation, of positive affirmation, then, is not mere psychological gymnastics. It is literal, biological reality engineering. You are, through the focused quality of your consciousness, choosing which potentials in your own being you will nourish into manifestation and which you will allow to recede back into the formless sea. You are the gardener of your own quantum field, and your attention is the water and the sun. Let us now bring this journey full circle to weave these threads. The stark data of the laboratory, the profound themes of interconnectedness, the ancient wisdom of symbolic narratives, and the practical call to mindful living, into a single, unified tapestry of understanding. The quantum experiment did not break reality. It broke our limited perception of reality. It shattered the lens through which we had viewed a cold, silent, and separate universe. And in doing so, it revealed a cosmos thrumming with intelligence, responsiveness, and a deep participatory magic. This is not a call to abandon science, but to embrace a more expansive science, one that does not exclude the most fundamental element of all, the conscious experience that gives meaning to the equations and the data in the first place. We stand at a precipice, not of doom but of dawn, invited to step out of the long twilight of isolation and into the radiant light of a new understanding of our place in the grand order of things. The transformational call inherent in this revelation is therefore not to acquire something new, but to remember something ancient and fundamental about our own nature. It is a call to awaken from the dream of separateness and to recognize the Creator within the creature. You are not a helpless bystander in a predetermined universe. You are a focal point of the cosmos, a nexus where the formless potential of the quantum field takes on the weight and texture of reality. This is an immense responsibility, but it is also the ultimate liberation. It means the world is not something that happens to you. It is something that happens through you and for you, in a sacred dialogue between your individual awareness and the universal consciousness that you are made of. Your life is your unique artwork, co-created with the universe itself. The quality of your attention is your brush, the quantum field is your palette of infinite potential, and the reality you experience is the canvas upon which you paint. This knowing asks us to move through the world with a new kind of reverence and intentionality. It asks us to become conscious artisans of our experience. Before you cast your attention upon a news story that breeds fear, upon a social media feed that cultivates lack, upon a memory that generates anger, remember that you are not a passive consumer of content. You are an active participant in creation. You are in that moment choosing to nourish a particular possibility into robust existence, both within your own being and in the shared field of consciousness. Ask yourself, does this thought, this focus, this object of my attention serve the reality I wish to inhabit? Does it contribute to a world of beauty, connection, and love? Or does it reinforce a world of separation, fear, and limitation? You cast a vote for the nature of reality with every moment of your awareness. This is the ultimate practical implication. Your consciousness is a currency of immense power. Spend it wisely. The journey that began with a particle in a lab thus ends with a profound invitation to the heart. The experiment that broke reality is ultimately a love story, a revelation that the universe is not indifferent to us, but is in fact intimately responsive to the deepest qualities we can embody: attention, curiosity, and care. To observe with wonder is to love. To meet another person with an expectation of their goodness is to love. To tend to your own body and mind with kindness is to love. And this love is not a sentimental feeling. It is the most practical and powerful force in the universe, the conscious creative energy that guides the collapse of the wave function from chaos into order, from potential into beauty. You are here to be the universe's way of knowing and loving itself. So, go now. Look at the world with the eyes of the dreamer who has just awakened. Speak to others with the voice that knows you are speaking to another version of yourself. And in the quiet moments, listen. Listen for the whisper of the infinite potential that you are, and have the courage to answer its call with the full, magnificent, and conscious power of your being. The reality you experience is waiting for your signal. What will you choose to manifest?